Hello and welcome to Money Control. This is Jerome Anthony and you're watching Editor's Take. The government is planning to bring NBFCs, that is non-banking financial companies, under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. To tell us all about that, I have Money Control's Deputy Executive Editor Ravi Krishnan with me. Hi and welcome to the show, Ravi.
Hi, Jerome.
Ravi, so why is the government planning to bring NBFCs under the IBC?
Well, the search for a silver bullet for the NBFC crisis is continuing, obviously. We all know that the NBFC sector is facing distress today, essentially a liquidity crunch. So, in the second quarter, for example, by the end of the second quarter, we saw that bank credit had fallen to 8% and NBFC disbursements fell 30%. Mutual funds have cut their exposure to NBFCs. NBFCs are finding it difficult to raise money. There is frequent news of defaults and downgrades. And Standard & Poor's, for example, is now talking about contingent risk because of the NBFC crisis. So obviously the government feels the need to do something. This will also sort of stoke credit growth and therefore economic growth.
Okay, and what will this move do?
Well, hopefully it should bring some resolution. Currently, how is this different from a voluntary settlement, you will ask? See, I think bringing NBFCs under IBC, it will lead to a couple of changes. See, for one, IBC is a court-sanctioned process. So, lenders like banks would be willing to take haircuts without fears of prosecution later. Nobody is going to question them, why did you take a 40% haircut, for example. Second, it will bring all classes of creditors to the same table. So, currently, for an NBFC, the two primary classes of creditors would be banks and then mutual funds. Which are lending money. Now, banks and mutual funds have different priorities, rightly so. So, if an NBFC comes to IBC, then they will all be, forced to sit under the same table. This would break the logjam. I mean, in something like DHFL, we haven't seen any resolution forthcoming so far. Third, this should also help in breaking the trust deficit. I mean, so under the IBC, the books of accounts are open, to prospective bidders who can come in and buy the assets of these NBFCs.
Okay, and will this be a template across the entire financial sector?
No, I think that would be a big mistake if the government tries to do something like that. This would work for the IBC, the existing IBC framework would work for a certain class of NBFCs, like say brokerages, or even some loan providing companies, but it certainly won't work for say banks and insurance companies. Banks and insurance companies have respectively depositors and policy holders who in themselves you can call them another class of creditors, and they are huge and they are it's a disparate base, it's a big base. So they would need a different kind of resolution mechanism. So, if you remember in 2017, the government had withdrawn the FRDI bill which had called for a resolution corporation. This corporation would have stepped in before the bankruptcy which would have solved the crisis, any crisis. I mean, it would step in when, the risk gets critical in big banks or say insurance companies. Because these kind of institutions have deep systemic linkages with the financial system.
All right, Ravi, thank you so much for these valuable insights. With that, we wrap this episode of Editor's Take. For more news, views and updates, stay logged on to Money Control. Thank you for watching.